The Film and Folklore Festival 2024 is happening on March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Those are the screening dates. Before that, we have some workshops that you can definitely check out and be a part of. The theme for this year, Folklore in Love. Joining us in studio this morning, I have directors of different movies that are going to be featured inside the Folklore in Love. Let me start with Keon Byron. He's the director of Bachak Man, Peacemakers, and Michelle the Fall. Romario Reyes, who's the co-director of All Skin, No Laugh, and Israel Silva, another co-director of All Skin, No Laugh. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Morning.
Thank you guys so much for being here. I want to start off with the theme Folklore in Love. When you hear that theme, and you had your movies, I assume you were making movies before this about a theme was announced, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me start with you, Keon. When you heard the theme and you said Folklore in Love, and you were making Bachak Man, Peacemakers, how did you tie that together?
Well, it was perfect for me because actually my film has a lot of love elements in it and folklore elements.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, when I heard it was Folklore in Love, I said this is perfect.
Tell me a little bit about your movie.
So, Bachak Man is basically a Trinidadian-born superhero who gains his powers through folklore elements in Trinidad, and he also goes up against like supernatural folklore creatures, like the Sukunya, the Lajables, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we get like how people know Superman, Batman, and stuff like that. So we get that with a local twist to it.
Right.
And also love elements incorporated.
All right. Romario, tell me a little bit about the inspiration for All Skin, No Laugh.
For All Skin, No Laugh, well, actually, for Israel and I, we knew about the festival and we knew about the theme.
Right.
Because we actually did everything between November and December. So we were within that time frame to understand that it was about folklore and love.
Right. So you shot it with that intention?
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of folklore, Israel and I have always been invested in folklore, and we have a love for the genre horror. And in terms of inspiration and what we were heading for, well, I mean, I guess Israel could talk more on that part, but we wanted to make something our own, and we brainstormed a lot about it on it, and it was kind of a short time frame because we wanted to churn it out before 2023 had ended.
Right.
And Israel could talk about the...
Israel, tell me first of all, why did you rush to turn it out before 2023 ended, and what was the inspiration for it?
Well, the reason why is because he directed the first short drop
right.
in the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. The response in Movie Town was great and everything like that. So I was like, okay, well, we're not doing anything at the end of the year. Let's try and churn out something as quickly as we could.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that this one was a lot longer than we planned for. Yeah, it was double the time of short drop,
right.
which to me is still a win, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to push for it.
Tell me a little bit about the movie, All Skin, No Laugh.
Right. It is, as he said, based on folklore, but the whole, I guess, cool aspect to us about it is it's probably a folklore nobody knows about. That is the most interesting thing to me. So I guess when you all see it without selling out too much, you all would see what I'm talking about.
It's a folklore that nobody knows about.
Yeah, nobody knows
So how does it become folklore if nobody knows about
exactly.
it?
That's exactly it.
This is very, very interesting. Keon, I understand you have another movie, Michelle the Fall?
Yes, Michelle the Fall.
Tell me about Michelle.
So Michelle the Fall is actually a spin-off of that Bachak Man movie. So it's basically, without selling out too much, it's about a young lady trying to get revenge for the murder of her parents. That's all I can say.
That sounds like Batman.
It's not Batman.
It's not as if Batman was a man trying to get revenge for his parents. But I understand what you're saying. All right. Tell me, sorry, Romario. You said that you have a long-standing interest in folklore. Where did that come from? Where did you get that interest? Where did it develop?
It developed from the stories I would hear when I was a kid. So in primary school, there would be a lot of stories, and I feel like if there isn't like anyone in particular where like I could say it was really from school children or it was really from aunts and uncles, I feel like if I would always hear about it when I was younger, and I had an interest in it and an intrigue to it, and there was one folklore in particular that stood out to me, and I think it's one of Israel's faves as well. And I think from there, that's where we kind of spiraled on the journey.
Which one stood out to you the most?
Well, we can't really pinpoint what it is exactly. If it is a larger blessed story, or if okay, yeah, well, it has elements of it that's not necessarily in line with her folklore, and we loved that particular story.
Mm-hmm. In terms of getting the research needed to be able to put these stories together, how difficult has it been?
For me, not very difficult. I think folklore in general is a bit vague. There is some information about each character, but not what you would expect, not the amount that you think you need. So that part is kind of difficult. But in terms of my knowledge of it, because I was in love with it since I was small, I know a lot about it. So, and well, that coupled with the fact that we watch a lot of horror films too, and we very much deeply into those things, it kind of was easy to put two and two together and make something brand new, basically.
Okay. In terms of your superhero perspective on it, because I mean, we grew up watching superheroes on TV, right? And it was, for years, I remember people saying, you know, why we don't have a local version of this? And we had the folklore and we had superheroes as two separate things. Tell me what inspired you to be able to bring them together, and how difficult was it to bring them together and say folklore, superhero can be the same thing?
Well, basically the same thing that you just said. I always used to say, why we don't have like a local superhero, like a show, an anime, a cartoon, something, at least anything at all. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do this crazy idea I had since I was a kid of Batchak Man. So I decided to do the film, and I realized instead of just putting like normal villains, we could use local stuff here.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. So instead of the vampire, put the sukunya, you know, you put little characters that exist locally and you twist it to fit the narrative. And also with Michel Lefall, we experimented a lot on that because that is actually a black and white film.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that choice artistically. Why did you decide to do black and white?
So I was always of the opinion that I want each of my films to look different. And for the story that we was going with, of like revenge from a girl with powers, and she's going up against this kind of mafia organization, and she was turning from like a good person to a bad person. So I thought the lack of color would highlight the story better and the emotions that we're trying to get across.
Okay, very interesting. You know which day it's showing at the festival?
Nope. We don't know which.
I mean, we had to go all 3 days all year. We had to go all 3 days to make sure and catch everything because we can't miss nothing. Ah, boy. How important is the research for you in terms of developing these characters?
Very important, because I try my best to understand the characters before I portray them on screen. So for like the first Batchak Man movie, I took about a year doing research, like learning each character, what they're about, how does each character place within my story and my show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very important.
Israel, tell me how you got into filmmaking in the first place. Like, what inspired you to say, I want to do this for a living?
Well, as long as I can remember, I was an artist. Since I was small, I used to draw. And that ultimately led into drawing comic books, then led into animation, that would lead into film. So, and I have a lot of experience working with my family, the Viscunia brothers, and Uncle Stephen Lee Powell. I worked a lot with them throughout the years, doing commercials.
So you've been trained for this?
Yeah, basically for a while.
Yeah.
And I eventually got tired of doing commercials, and I was like, well, I have so much stories in my head that I want to do, so much characters I want to bring to life. I was like, well, why not just do it myself? So.
And why did you decide to partner with Romario?
Well, Romario is my cousin, number one.
Well, that's a good reason, I guess.
And our family is very close,
Right.
very, very close. So that's one thing. And then the next thing, we kind of made our own company, Liquid Matter Studios. My brothers and I, close friend Kern Solandi, and well, Romario obviously joined afterwards. So in that company, that's what we do. We do comic books, we do digital art, we do film, animation, the whole shebang. So that's pretty much why I got into it. It's a family thing, basically.
Romario, how important is that collaborative element of it, of producing the films?
In terms with Israel?
But Liquid Matters in general?
The collaboration process, it is, well, to me, it's not something that I think too much about because, as Israel said, it is my family and we always have been working together. So it's not something that like I overly have like a strong opinion on. It might be like too much of a biased one. because I'm so used to it. And
it's just normal. That's just normal
Yeah.
for you. Israel, when you formed the company, when you guys formed the company, why was that collaborative element of it so important? Because for you to have all the different aspects and all the different players, it means that you all thought about collaboration.
Yeah, I think it was our love for comic books at the beginning.
Right.
That was really what we wanted the company to be about. Because we, since back in the day, we wanted to bring out comic books of our own, right? Local comic books. And I mean, back then, they didn't really have internet. Comic books was really the source of entertainment for youths like us, right? So that was the main goal, and it just evolved into these other things. But it was mainly because, you know, back in the day, you would more than likely have friends around your neighborhood, right? So Colonel Solandi was one of those guys that we met and became a lifelong friend. And it was our shared love for comic books, kind of like, well, let's just do something. And all of us were artists. And it was funny is that he's probably like the only artist in his family. So nobody else in his family understood why he liked those stuff except us. So he felt very like bonded to us in that way. And we just decided, listen, we're not going to separate from each other. It's just going to be us friends forever. So just make something.
Might as well make some money while being friends and do anything that we like to do.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. Ladies and gentlemen, the Film and Folklore Festival is on March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and they have different screenings taking place. We have the online panel discussion, Streetlight Stories, the red carpet, which is basically the opening night on Thursday, the 29th of February. And we also have the film screenings, like I mentioned, from the 1st to the 3rd. And then we have the Camp Folklore, which is happening on the 3rd of March. Of course, you can head across to their social media to get more information about it. Okay. Sorry. Keon. I don't know why I keep trying to change your name every time. I have to look down to make sure I'm saying the right name. Keon, when it comes to being able to showcase in the Film and Folklore Festival, how important is this platform for you?
Very important. I think in Trinidad we have a lack of platforms to like show our art. So having this festival to like highlight not just folklores but filmmakers in Trinidad and the work that a lot of people work hard in doing, it's extremely, extremely important. And the actors also get a sense of achievement, you know, seeing themselves on the big screen and, you know, people talking about the work that they're putting hard work in doing,
Yeah, how do you feel about it, Romario?
I think same.
Because it's not your first time in the festival, yeah?
Yeah, it's my first time. I think the same as what Kiana is saying. I agree 100% with that. I think hats off to Leslie Ann with everything that she's doing and the whole idea that it is focused towards folklore. I think that's very important, and it is part of our DNA in Trinidad. And also too, like with what Kiana is saying, like with superheroes. I think that superheroes, in a sense, is our mythology. They are our folklore characters. So in terms of like the West, where it's like superheroes with Superman and all these characters, that is their identity. That's
their folklore.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with us. Like we can continue to build on our mythology. We can continue to embed it into our DNA further. And I agree with what Keon is saying in terms of that.
Israel, before we wrap up, what words of advice would you give to any young upcoming directors or producers of movies if they get into this?
Just shoot stuff. Just pull out your phone, because everybody have a phone at this point, and just shoot stuff, because that's pretty much how we did ours, and I really don't have an issue with it. I think it's a valid form of filmmaking. It could be better, obviously, I think, you know what I mean, with better equipment and everything, stuff like that, but just shoot. Just don't let anything stop you.
Just do it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Congratulations. And we look out for the Film and Folklore Festival screenings from March 1st to 3rd. Head on across and check them out. And go out there and make a difference today now, because together we aspire. And if together we perspire, then together we most definitely can achieve. On behalf of Natasha Lake and the entire team here at TTT and Marocus, wishing you a fantastic day. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Friday, where we have some fun. Stay tuned.